Welcome to History Lane. In the last part, we had discussed about the developments that ultimately led to the civil disobedience movement. In the process, we had talked about the Simon Commission and the response of the Indian masses to the commission. We had also discussed about the Lahore session of the Congress and the resolution taken for Purna Swaraj. We had also discussed about the proposal to celebrate 26th January 1930 as Independence Day and the lukewarm response of the Indian masses. We had ended our discussion on the note that Mahatma Gandhi now felt the need to look for a powerful symbol that may unite all Indians, a symbol that may give a common cause to all Indians to unite and participate in a nationwide movement in large numbers. That powerful symbol came in the form of salt, a commodity used by the rich and the poor alike. But before launching his movement, on 31st January 1930, Mahatma Gandhi wrote a letter to the Viceroy, Lord Irwin, in which he had wrote 11 demands. He also mentioned a deadline, 11th March, by which the demands were to be fulfilled, failing which a civil disobedience movement was to be launched. Now let's focus on the nature of these demands. Some of the important demands were prohibition of liquor and intoxicants, imposition of customs duty on foreign cloth, release of all political prisoners, reduction of military expenditure, abolition of salt tax, issuance of licenses of arms to Indians for self-defense. They wanted some sort of parity in the exchange rate between the rupee and the pound sterling, a reduction in land revenue. Some of the demands were general in nature, while the others affected particular groups of people like businessmen and farmers. Reduction of land revenue would have benefited the farmers, whereas the parity of exchange rate between the rupee and the pound sterling would have benefited the rich industrial class. Mahatma Gandhi meticulously made his choice of demands as he wanted to cover the concerns of as many social groups as possible. This way, he wanted to broaden the support base for the civil disobedience movement. Among these demands, salt proved to be the most powerful symbol. It was a common commodity used in every household. But the British had imposed tax on salt and the government had got a monopoly over its manufacture. No wonder the salt law drew the ire of millions of Indians. Lord Irwin refused to give in to the demands of Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi started his civil disobedience movement by his famous Salt March. On 12th March 1930, Mahatma Gandhi, along with 78 of his supporters, set out from his Sabarmati ashram in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. They covered a distance of 240 miles in 24 days before they reached the coastal town of Dandi on 6th April 1930. Mahatma Gandhi eventually broke the salt law by making salt from the seawater. This event was widely covered in the international media, and now the world followed the Indian national movement with keen interest. As the civil disobedience movement came into full swing, British laws were now being broken in every nook and corner of the country. Salt was being manufactured in all parts, especially in front of government offices, in order to defy the colonial government. People in the villages stopped paying the revenue and the chowkidari taxes. People in the forest areas, they defied the British laws by entering the reserved forest areas. The civil disobedience movement had shook the very foundations of the colonial government. But the colonial government did not sit quietly either. It responded with harsh repressive measures. Many leaders and followers of the Congress were stuffed into jails. Violent clashes were reported from different parts of the country. When Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, popularly known as Frontier Gandhi, was arrested in April 1930, there was a series of violent clashes in Peshawar. The police resorted to firing. Several people lost their lives in the clashes. When Mahatma Gandhi himself was arrested, people attacked all government establishments like offices, railway stations, and law courts. In its effort to crush the movement, the colonial police did not even spare women and children. Fearing that the situation may get totally out of control, Mahatma Gandhi entered a pact with the Viceroy on 5th March 1931. By this pact, Mahatma Gandhi agreed to call off the civil disobedience movement and participate in a round table conference to be held later that year. In return, the Viceroy, Lord Irwin, promised the release of all political prisoners. In the next video, we'll discuss the outcomes of the second round table conference and the subsequent events. Thanks for watching History Lane.